Yo, what's up? Let's roll. Wicked Wednesday has begun. We step up and in. NBA trade deadline goes down tomorrow. Sort of kind of quiet right now, which means, there's probably a bunch of deals going to be coming. As I stated many times, it's not like they tell people what they're going to do, right? Yesterday, they were reporting that the Wizards aren't trading anybody. And then today, Otto Porter gets done. So, that's the way this goes. Who knows? All quiet on the Raptor front right now. We'll keep our eye on that. Lubano's going to step up and in, talk some late-night college basketball. There's a couple of late-night NBA games. Houston and Sacramento's at 10 o'clock. San Antonio, Golden State, except Greg Popovich. As Greg Popovich decided to mail this one in. It's the fucking All-Star break coming up, too. Really? Load management. I love the NBA, but that's the one problem with the NBA. They have a serious issue with that. Like fans buy tickets, man. Like when I go to Toronto, am I going to get screwed? Is DeMar DeRozan not going to play because of load fucking management? Like it happens all the time. It's like, you buy a ticket to a Laker game, you're buying a ticket because LeBron James is there. But LeBron James, he's not playing tonight, load management. And we're seeing a pattern here right now. You know what it's gotten to pretty much? It's gotten to the point where teams in the NBA now are fucking rolling over and conceding to the Golden State Warriors. Like LeBron played on Thursday night against the Clippers. He's off for like a month or something, even longer. He was out for like 17 games or whatever it was. He comes back on a Thursday night. You figure for a little tune-up for the Warrior game on Saturday night, Super Bowl Saturday. He doesn't play. He doesn't play Saturday, but he plays tonight. But of course he'll be at the All-Star game and shit like that. But you're noticing a pattern. So tonight, San Antonio Spurs tonight. Basically teams are like, well, we're not going to win the game anyway. So what's the point of fucking playing our guys? Like, that's what we've come to here. Like, the Golden State Warriors not only have just scared the shit out of everyone in the NBA, now teams are just resting their stars when they play the Warriors. Because they're like, well, what's the point of getting these guys beat up? We're still going to lose anyways. It's kind of... It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like, listen, and I'll tell you what, Popovich has done this for years, actually, against Golden State. I brought this up on the show this morning, where I said every time on the radio show, I said, I swear to God, over the years, so many times the Spurs have played the Warriors, and the Spurs, this guy's not playing, this guy's not playing. I've realized Popovich is doing this by design. Like he's actually just like rolling over. Now I want to double check San Antonio's schedule though. Like, are San Antonio playing tomorrow again? Because I think they might be. Yeah, they're playing tomorrow. Yeah, they're playing tomorrow. And they're playing tomorrow, and they're at Portland. And as I brought up today, they've decided that, you know what, we're not going to win the Golden State game. Why get beat up? And there's a method to Popovich's madness as well. There's a method to the madness. where they figure, you know what? Well, we might be tied with Portland in the standings, which it actually makes sense. Which it actually makes sense, because you could be tied with Portland. You're not going to be tied with the Golden State Warriors. But nevertheless, it still sucks for fans to buy tickets to these games. Now, the Brooklyn Nets, I want to get back out to a Brooklyn Net game. I got to get out. Problem is, Corey, doesn't leave Harlem very often. And Riggs is never around. I don't really have anyone to go to the net game with, but I might have to go alone, or I'll get someone else to go. I'm going to go to a Knick game too. I've never been to a Knick game at MSG. I could go see the Rangers too, but I'd rather see the Knicks at MSG. The Rangers would be pretty cool too, but even though the Knicks are a train wreck, I think I might go see San Antonio when San Antonio's here. Yeah, we got our man Ro. What's up, Ro? I'm going to look at the schedule, Ro. Now that I'm not doing football on the weekends, I'll be able to go to some games on the weekends. So I'm hoping that the schedule plays out. Maybe in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Toronto in a couple of weeks and then after. So going into March, then we'll start planning out what we're going to do for March Madness. Now, how do we do with college basketball tonight? All right, we're on Duquesne. They're losing by 2 points. They just lost by 2 points. Fuck. They just lost by 2 points. All right, you can't win them all. Atlantic 10 action. We were on Davidson. I said today Davidson. The spread was too short. Davidson -4. Davidson wins by 15, 68-53. So that's 1-1 in college ball. And then we had Texas A&M. I saw Texas A&M was leading. But just because you're leading doesn't mean that doesn't mean they covered. And they did cover. They lost by 4. Yeah, they were getting 10. All right, we're going to get on track here with college ball. I'm pretty good at college basketball. I'm very good at college basketball. It's actually one of my better sports. The thing with me with college basketball, I'm better if I don't force it, though, if I only bet a couple of games. Like when I start like forcing shit and looking through and that conference and this conference and what about that conference, then I'll put myself in trouble with too many games. But like tonight, basically, I just sort of looked. I was like, you know what? I've been forcefully trying to bet less games. And, we'll click a couple of late night games tonight. I'm a good adjuster. We told you the over last night. It looked like Portland was going to come back last night. They came all the way back, but then Miami went on a run after. I think there is a ton of late night college basketball tonight, actually. And we jumped on the Brooklyn Nets in this game, actually, too. They're up by 17 right now. I had my doubts about the Nets. They've lost 2 games in a row. They're kind of banged up. Denver's a pretty good team, but they got Hollis Jefferson back. They got Joe Harris is playing. Crap. Like, you go down the list, like they had a lineup tonight a bit. And another thing is, too, Denver, quite frankly, aren't a very good road team. Denver are a very good team at home, but they're not a good road team. That'll be Denver's demise in the playoffs. Like, they can't win on the road. I'm looking forward to the NBA playoffs, especially Brooklyn, and the Raptors. We'll see. Like I said, I'm going to go to the Raptor game on February 22nd, DeMar DeRozan night. And then after that, really, I won't see the Raptors. I think the Raptors come back here actually again before the year's done. I think they haven't played the Knicks yet here. They play the Knicks later in the year here. I'll go see them here. It'd be cool if it was the Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. And then as the playoffs go on, you know, if the Raptors go deep, I'll come to Toronto. You know, basically, you know, if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll have to watch. I can't be flying around everywhere. Well, who knows where I'll ever be, fuck, in this business. But I can't be flying everywhere, back and forth everywhere. But I'm not going to miss the Raptors playoff run. Like, you know, Eastern Conference Finals. If they make it to the finals, I'm definitely in. It's going to cost a shitload of fucking money to get into that, but it'll work itself out. My Twitter's going crazy with broadcaster talk because I started tweeting about Bob Cole. Everyone's talking about Bob Cole tonight. I don't know. I don't even know. I guess it's Bob Cole's like last Leaf game or something. Listen, Bob Cole's great. You know, he's old. He can't do it all the time anyways right now, but it's amazing how people are like so much nicer to you on the way out. Like I remember so many people ripped Bob Cole over the years, like for like a long time ago. I told a story on Twitter tonight. I was on the radio in Montreal once and it was the Leafs and the Canadiens, and people were pissed off after. People were pissed off after. It was pretty hostile. Like people were calling in, and I wasn't really putting the fire out. I used to really stir the pot. So I wasn't putting the fire out. It was getting pretty hostile and shit. Like somebody called in, like a Leaf fan called in and like started ripping the Canadiens and told all the callers to go fuck themselves. And then somebody called in and said, "I hope you crash on the way home." Fucking. It was like, I was like, all right, everyone's got to calm down here. It's getting a little heated. And people were ripping the fuck out of Bob Cole. They were like, that stupid old man, that fucking homer. People are going off. And I was kind of on the homer train too. I was like, CBC suck. And there's no disputing it. Like the CBC is a Leaf network. You know, I know we have a lot of Leaf fans in the chat right now, I'm sure. I have a lot of Leaf fans that are fan Ragerholics. I'm not a Leaf hater. I was never never really a Leaf hater. Like growing up as a kid, like the Bruins were the Canadiens' rival more than the Leafs. Like the Leafs Canadiens thing is more, you know, the fucking 50s and 60s and shit. You know, like they've played once in the playoffs in like the last 50 years. So people are ripping the hell out of Bob Cole, and I was getting in on it myself. I'm not going to deny. I wasn't as vicious, but I was basically like I was ripping more the CBC and shit. Because I remember once he was like, you could just hear it. Like they were upset when the Canadiens scored, and they were upset like with the Leafs, and there was penalties, and Glenn Healy's like the biggest fucking homer. It was like the biggest homer fest. And it used to make me mad even too. So same with TSN, like the Toronto Sports Network, right? So people are ripping the head out of Bob Cole and shit. And the way it worked at that radio station, we used to always have like an update person. So it was either a dude or a chick or shit, right? Like sports stations. So there's an update person. So we had updates like every 20 minutes or something, I think it was. Fucking, yeah, scores on the 20s or whatever. So it used to be a high turnover though, right, of update people. There used to be a high turnover of update people. And fuck, my phone's annoying. I gotta change that fucking ringer, man. Yeah, so we go to the yeah, the ringtone is brutal. I don't get a lot of calls, Ryan C, so it doesn't really get me too much. And most of the time, my ringer is off. I switched the alarm sound the other day, but I made it worse. Fuck. I got to figure out. I got to switch this ringer sound. I went through a bunch of them. I didn't like any of them, like, to be honest. Wow, a lot of points scored in this net game. So yeah, we go to the update and shit, and like I always had new update people. So there was this chick there, and it was like her second night or something. Like, I don't think it was her first night. She was there for a couple of nights, but I never really talked to her that much. And so she was kind of quiet, and she's sitting there. So we go to the update, and she's like, "Hey, I'm Ashley Cole." And wait, I never put two and two together. Fuck, like her name was Ashley Cole, but I never really put two and two together about Bob Cole. And so right after the update, I'm like, I said, "Man, that's crazy. We're talking about Bob Cole. Your last name's Cole." And she goes, "Yeah, he's my grandfather." And we're like, "Oh, fuck." Like he like people, we ripped them for like an hour, fuck, on the radio. She's sitting right there. Now, like I said, me personally, I was ripping CBC more. It's sort of like Don Cherry. Like, Don Cherry's a fucking homer, right? There's no disputing it. Like, the CBC is supposed to be neutral. You know, the CBC is supposed to be neutral, right? But they're clearly not neutral. You know, the thing is, it's in their best interest if the Leafs win, right? Like, it's the biggest market, and the Leafs are the biggest team in the country. So, you know, they're sort of the Dallas Cowboys of the network, in a sense that, yeah, they're neutral, but the ratings are better if the Toronto Maple Leafs are in the playoffs and going far than if the Calgary Flames are. You know what I mean? Like, listen, it doesn't matter the Stanley Cup final. You get to the final as long as it's a Canadian team and if the ratings will be big. But that's a major problem for the NHL right now in Canada. So that's the main reason why, to be honest, that's why Rogers can't get their money back, like, on the deal. First off, they overpaid for the NHL, right? They overpaid for it because they wanted to screw TSN. So they did. They screwed TSN, but they paid $2 billion more. They literally paid $2 billion out of spite. Which, you know what? If you can do it, why not, right? They don't care. They have enough money. They just lay off people and underpay people. So the thing is, though, if you notice, since Rogers bought the NHL rights for like $6 billion, $5.5 billion, whatever, since they bought the rights, Canadian teams haven't done well. Like, if a Canadian team goes to the Stanley Cup Finals, like, the money will pour in. The money and the ratings will be sky high, and the revenues will be high. The commercial advertising will be high, but it's hard to sell, even in Canada. As much as people love hockey, it's hard to sell fucking the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the LA Kings or Vegas and this shit. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are sort of like the Patriots. Like, people are sick of the Penguins, right? People are sick of the Penguins and Crosby. People are whatever. Washington finally won, but it's always the same teams in the NHL basically as well. Like, people think like people always say, "Oh, the NBA is predictable and shit." The NHL has been pretty predictable. Like, people just sort of pick and choose what they want to pick out, but like, the same teams won in the NHL for like 10 years, 12 years. The Pittsburgh Penguins, Chicago Blackhawks, and LA Kings. Like, they basically, that was it. They alternated wins for like ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, Washington squeezed one in. The thing is, in the playoffs in the NHL, an upstart team can do well. But ultimately, it's the same teams that win most of the time. I like the numbers there, Kyle. I like Kyle's a good numbers guy. See, Kyle should be in the media. He should be a research guy. He should be on you should be on like 60 Minutes research team. No, I didn't get a dog, Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Kyle Hamburg. We got Kyle Hamburg and Kyle Johnson. That's what I'm saying, bro. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, hometown hockey, they never go there to Quebec. Like, they never go there to Quebec. Ron McLean is the biggest dick. He's the one I don't like the most. He's the one that gets me the most. Like, you notice, like, Ron McLean knows every town in the country, this guy. All right? And he's so hokey about it. Like, he knows every little fucking town. Oh, this guy from fucking Smith Falls, good boy from Smith Falls, Ontario. Oh, he's from Moose Jaw. And he knows a little reference about everyone in the NHL. You notice he never talks about someone from Quebec. You'll never hear him say, oh, he's a good Canadian kid from Montreal. Like, he'll never say it. Like, their bias against Quebec is like very, very obvious. It's you know, it almost borders on like racist hatred, to be honest. Like, Don Cherry is basically like, you know, a xenophobe. There's no disputing it. You know, Don, well, whatever. He's like Archie Bunker. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not offended by Don Cherry, but I can see how people are. The thing is, Don Cherry actually likes Montreal, the city, and shit. Like, Don Cherry in Montreal always goes out and he always talks to people. Like, he likes to shoot the shit with them and stuff, but look, Don Cherry used to think that the Canadians had a bias, right? Like, Don Cherry was, you know, used to think like people used to be convinced that the Montreal Canadiens got every call. Like, when the Canadians were good in the form and shit. And they called it the ghost of the form. And basically, you know, like, mysterious penalties and weird things would happen. And like, Don Cherry once like left the fucking bench in the middle of the game. There was like a fight and shit going on. I guess the Canadians started it. And, you know, he was like, Don Cherry left the bench and he went outside onto the street, like outside the Forum in Montreal. The production trucks for the CBC were there. I guess Don Cherry like left the game, went outside on the street, stormed into the production truck, said, oh, I bet you're making it look like we're the fucking bad guys here, you fucking assholes. And he's freaking out. You guys suck the Canadians' cocks. And he's like freaking out about how the CBC's like big homers for the Canadians and shit. Don Cherry is, I like Don Cherry. Oh no, there's no doubt about it, Kyle Johnson. Like, from top to bottom, they are anti-Quebec. You know, like you said, the hometown hockey, and it speaks volumes because it'd be cheap for them to go to Quebec too. It's close. You know what I mean? Like, it goes to show how much they don't want to go there. when they go there once and they'll go to BC 4 times, even though Quebec is bigger. There's more towns in Quebec. It's bigger and it's closer for them. Like I always tell people that, like whenever they have like that craft shit or whenever there's a contest or anything like that, like I always used to tell people in Quebec, I said, don't even bother entering. Fuck, you're not going to win. Like you think they're going to fucking pick a Quebec? Like they don't pick Quebec, you know? One thing I will tell you though, more people from Quebec win the 649 than anywhere else. It's crazy. Like people in Quebec are always winning the fucking lottery. I don't know why, but they probably rigged it. I sent you an email, Brooks. Check your email. They probably rigged it. It's like that. Remember, I told the story of. I told the story of the monopoly. Yeah, keep your politics out of it, Reckless. We're talking about hockey coverage here. You always got to fucking start being a dickhead. Oh, that's your useless. The fuck they do. Nobody cares about your views on the Canadian economy. We're not talking about the Canadian economy. Now, what province are you in, Reckless? Alberta, right? The shocker. People always talk about Quebec separating. I think it's like Alberta is the one that like hates the country more than anyone else. Well, I'll tell you, be honest with you, Reckless. I talked to a lot of people in my life, and there's not too many people that really give a fuck about Alberta, to be honest. Besides people in Alberta. Nobody's ever like, oh, thank God Alberta's in Canada. People fucking in the rest of Canada hate BC. I like BC personally, but the rest of Canada doesn't care about BC. Like when the Vancouver Canucks were in like the final, it wasn't the same as like the Oilers or the Flames or teams. I don't hate anybody. You guys are the ones that want to have petty issues about provinces and shit. But it is a fact. Alberta are the biggest. They're the ones that want out the most. I'm just calling out for what it is, sheeple. I got no problem with Alberta. I liked it. I've been to Calgary. I liked it in Calgary. Anyways, we're talking about. It's all right, Reckless. Don't worry, Wake Sheeple. I got no problem with Alberta. But Alberta is the most anti-Canadian of the other of all the provinces, like more than Quebec. Yeah, Alberta's Canada's Texas. Listen, I never really realized, but Like, look at like they fucking hate. Good stuff, Brian Rowe. They hate like Alberta hates fucking the rest of Canada. Ask Wake the Sheeple. Like there's nowhere that hates fucking Trudeau as much as Alberta. And Ontario and Quebec, you know what I mean? The East. You know? Like, look, didn't the Reform Party start there and shit? Like, isn't Ezra Levant out there now? Look, I like Calgary. I've never been to Edmonton. Edmonton seems pretty cool. Edmonton in the summer looks like a good town to go party in. Pretty much every city in Canada's got its own charm for partying and shit. You know what I mean? Calgary's kind of corporate and stuff, but like I said, I've only been to Calgary once, and I didn't mind it. I was there. It was cooler than I thought it would be. I'll put it that way. Like, people were very nice in Calgary. I didn't know what to expect. I was there years ago, so I didn't really know what to expect, but people were very nice, you know? And it was kind of clean and nice city and shit, you know? I've never been to Edmonton before. They're pretty crazy. They party in Edmonton. Winnipeg, like, they're fucking nuts. What city are you in, Wake the Sheeple? Yeah, I don't mean to generalize about any province either, right? Like the city of Montreal isn't like the rest of Quebec. You know what I mean? Like New York City isn't like the rest of New York State. You brought English hooligans. That's not a thing to boast about, Jimmy Mac. It's all Reckless's fault. He started ripping Quebec. But you gamble more because you got money. Well, what's the deal? Calgary has money and Edmonton doesn't, right? Not that Edmonton doesn't have any money, but I'm telling you though, all the small Canadian towns, people are much happier. Like all you guys that are in like all you guys that are like in like, you know, Edmonton, Calgary, or the smaller towns and shit. People in Montreal are pretty happy, actually. Like, people in Vancouver bitch all the time. It's expensive and stuff. People in Toronto hate Toronto. Like, people that live in Toronto don't like Toronto. You know, so weird. Like, Torontonians were voted like the most unhappy people in the country. And it's ironic too, because same thing with New York. I read a thing the other day, like more people in the States, like they did a poll for every American city type thing, and more people wanted to move out of New York than any other city that people grew up in type thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of people in here, they're thinking, fuck, I'd like to get the hell out of here, you know? But people that grow up in big cities usually get stuck in them. Buddy was telling me about that in Vegas. I know a dude that grew up in Vegas, and he told me that. He goes, you'll notice there's 1 million people in Vegas here that aren't from here. He goes, like every second person in Vegas isn't from here, even more. Like no one's from Vegas in Vegas. It's very rare, you know? So like most of Vegas they're all transplants, right? So, and then he brought up a good point. It was Randall Ailman. He told me, he goes, how many people have you ever met in other cities that said, oh yeah, I moved here from Vegas? He goes, you're stuck here. He goes, it's like hell. Like, he goes, you get stuck in this cycle. You can't get out of here. He goes, no one ever gets out of here alive, basically. That's what he was telling me. It was funny when I moved to Vegas. He gave me these like Vegas rules. He's like, don't trust anyone from Vegas. He's like, even me. He's like, no, don't trust anyone here. He's like, I grew up here. He goes, you can't trust anybody. It was funny, a guy that grew up in Vegas. And his father even owned like strip clubs and everything too. So he knew like the street, he knew like the hustles of the city and everything. He was telling me that. He's like, don't trust anybody here, like point blank. He's like, you can't trust anyone here. No, I tell you, like half of Buffalo, all live in fucking Vegas. Yeah, like Buffalo is, man, you can't walk 2 feet in Vegas without meeting someone that's from Buffalo. I swear to God, like every ticket taker and every sports book is from Western New York. They're either from Western New York, Pittsburgh, or Chicago. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, if you notice, basically, like, if you notice, like, if you know the history of sports betting and gambling and shit, essentially, but sports betting basically started in Pittsburgh. Or not started in Pittsburgh, but, you know, pretty much. And, like, the guy that created point spreads was from Pittsburgh. And, like, the real guy, he did it in Vegas, but he was from Pittsburgh. Vaccaro's a Pittsburgh guy. Like, I noticed that. Like, there's, like, all the big early odds makers and shit. They're all, like, Pittsburgh guys and Pittsburgh bookies and shit. So I noticed that. Like, a lot of the sports book managers, Pittsburgh. The ticket taker guys, sort of Pennsylvania guys, a lot of Western New York guys. They all look like Blessing, fuck, you know? They got beards, fucking upstate New York accents. Yeah, but I'm telling you, like, if you look at the history of gambling and like point spreads and bookies and sort of like the way, like the teaser was born, point spread was born. No one ever really thinks about it, but I guess like point spreads as we know it were born. I think it was 1962. I think it was 1962. I don't know if I forget the guy's name, but it's basically there was a dude. He was from Pittsburgh. He was a bookie. The mob brought him out to like fucking Vegas to sort of oversee the sports operations of things, and he did. And he's the one, because I was wondering who created the teaser. We always joke, who invented the teaser? So I asked Jimmy Vaccaro, who's like, you know, the living legend of fucking sports betting that knows everything, right? So I asked him on, and it's funny because I live in the same building as him in Vegas, actually, but I wasn't buddy with him, though. He's Vaccaro. He knows everyone in Vegas, so I didn't really stick. He knew I was a bit through Blessing, and he was on my show a few times, but it wasn't like he was like, hey, great to see you, Gabe. You know what I mean? I'd see him in the elevator. He was like, hey, and I'd always ask him about games and shit, right? Hey, what's the line in that game? And what's the movement? But he, you know, he's a cool dude. Like, he'll tell you shit, right? So I asked Vaccaro, I said, hey, who invented the teaser? I thought maybe it would have been him even, fuck. I said, who invented the teaser? And he goes, I can't guarantee it, but he goes, that's pretty much is going to be, I forget the guy's name. And he goes, the same guy that invented the point spread. And he said from Pittsburgh, like he's a famous guy. He's like, so if we look him up, one of you guys would know his name. He's like the first odds maker from, he's the first odds maker in Vegas. He's like a legendary guy. I don't know his name though. It wasn't Lefty Rosenthal, no. Vaquero went to Vaquero got hired in Pennsylvania. Yeah, he decided to go back home for some reason. They must be paying him a lot of money. Like, I don't know why he would leave Vegas for Pennsylvania, but no offense, Reckless, but we're just going to start ignoring you for the rest of the night. Yeah, we probably suggest you stay off the weed. I'm just saying. What's up, Cody AV? Yeah, I think it's for the best. Yeah, because of Reckless, I started ripping a province that he's not even from. I always think he's from Calgary, fuck Karki. Just settle down, Ro. Who are you, Nancy Reagan? All right, so we're building up the account a little bit here. I do like, well, we all know what happens when I take Sacramento or Houston games. Houston Rockets are playing Sacramento right now. Sacramento have been hot, but Houston are the strangest team. I have a hard time with them, as we know. But I do like the Kings. The Kings have been rolling at home. It's 14-14 right now. They just got started, essentially. 14-14. They just got it going. They're about 5 minutes into this game, so it's off and running as far as the score, the pace is concerned. We've got a little mini track meet going on. Let's check in with our DraftKings lineup. How did it do? Currently winning $0. Oh, that's not good. Fuck off. Oh, that's why I do it. What am I talking about? No wonder I'm winning $0. Fucking. I have a lot of players that haven't played yet. Like Lauri Markkanen's got 46 fantasy points. That's pretty good. Mason Plumlee was a nice pick. He's got 37. Shabazz Napier, 31. Yeah, pretty much everyone I took has been good so far. So we'll see how it plays out. But I got a lot of real estate to catch up. I'm in 27,000 place out of 44,000 people. Yeah, the Bucks are starting to screw people up a bit. Yeah, the Wizards don't exactly play defense. Man, the Wizards game the other night, guys. The Wizards game the other night against the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks scored like 139 on them. What was it, like 139 and 127 or something? Like the Wizards just don't play defense anymore. They've given up essentially. They keep trading players. Bradley Beal's alone. So Bradley Beal's just bombing shots. That's what the Wizards are now. They're just a bunch of dudes that bomb threes and shit, but they don't play any D. John Wall's going to be out for like a year now, for another year. He got hurt behind the scenes. Yeah, that team's kind of a mess right now. But if you look tonight, like basically it's not every game's going over, but look at Denver, Brooklyn. They put up 265 points, 135 to 130. This one, Milwaukee, 141, 120. There's still 6 minutes left, though. Like, Milwaukee might get to 160 points. The New Orleans Pelicans are at 121. Pelicans and the Bulls have put up 237 points. That's why, like, will anyone be surprised here if Houston and Sacramento just, like, put up 1 million points in this game? Listen, the Bucks are really good, but it's different in the playoffs. And they've never been in the playoffs. Like, well, they've been in the playoffs, but they've never won in the playoffs. You know what I mean? They've never really been deep and gone through like really like 3 weeks, a month of intense shit every 48 hours. It's a grind. That's going to be the big advantage for the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs. Like Kawhi Leonard, like this is it. Like that's why they brought him there, man. Like Kawhi Leonard knows how to play in the playoffs. Like he has a certain level he can bring it to. And it should be contagious with the Raptors. The Raptors have never had anyone that won on the team. That was always a problem with the Raptors. You know, they never had anybody that won. So they had a bunch of dudes that have never won, you know, trying to win together. It's hard. You know, you need a guy or two that can say, listen, fuck, you know, like Casey had won, but he was an assistant. You know, you need a guy or two on the floor that other guys can say, all right, he's been in the fucking NBA. You know, he's been in the finals before. He knows he's won, right? I'm not expecting the Raptors to do anything now, to be honest. They might do something little. I mean, you know they're going to be in on Wes Matthews or something, but who isn't? Everybody is. You know, the Raptors were never looking to break their team up, right? I'm not even sure about that Memphis shit, if it was even real. Or what was real about it. Now they're saying, it was just sort of, you know, it wasn't a concrete offer. It was just sort of, they were talking. That's why I don't think Kyle Lowry was that mad, because I think Kyle Lowry knew it was bullshit. I'm going to give credit to someone that tweeted me. I don't know who it was, but somebody tweeted me and they said, you know what? They said, this is, it's not real. They said, everyone knows that Memphis wouldn't trade fucking Conley for Kyle Lowry. And it's not again, look, Kyle Lowry's better than Mike Conley. That's another thing. So, like, why, you know what I mean? There was a reason why this was done. And I think it was Memphis that did this. I think it was Memphis that said that because Memphis are really trying to get rid of Mike Conley. Like, the Raptors aren't dying to get rid of Kyle Lowry. So, like, but the Grizzlies are actively trying to get rid of Mike Conley. And if they put out there that, Kyle Lowry was offered, like, there was talk about Ricky Rubio, right? So, you know, it could have been Memphis trying to, like, beef up the package for other teams. Because another thing is, too, Kyle Lowry's a pretty sour guy, and Lowry really didn't seem to be affected by this. Like, you know, he saw him after. He's like, yeah, I think Ujiri told him, don't believe that bullshit. Yeah, it wasn't whatever. It wasn't true. No, they're not going to trade Kyle Lowry for Rubio. Kyle Lowry's better than Ricky Rubio is truth. Yeah. My own personal belief is that the Raptor deal wasn't true. Now, I'm not saying that the Raptors didn't speak to the Grizzlies, but you know what I mean? Like, it was pretty detailed that, oh, it was Kyle Lowry and Jonas Valanciunas, but Memphis wanted Anunoby. And then now it's coming out, someone else, like it was Sports Illustrated reported, like Wojo or someone said, they never really got far in any talks, Memphis and Toronto. So I don't know what it means. That's exactly right, Kyle Johnson. That's the whole thing. The Raptors aren't looking to like shed salary. They're not looking to rebuild. They need to make their team better. And they're not going to make their team better by like even deals and shit like that. They need to add somebody, right? Like if they traded, listen, they could trade JV because he's always hurt. He's not around, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. But Valanciunas is good. He's going to be back, so it'd be dumb to trade him now, to be honest, because he can help. He's a good offensive player. He's going to bring offense to the team. They're better with JV. Like he's a very good player, Valanciunas. And one thing about Valanciunas is he's better in the playoffs. He actually is a good playoff performer, Valanciunas. So he helps. They're still like just tweak a little bit. Like if they can trade, if it's, listen, I don't want to see Anunoby go, but if other teams like him that much and they'll give you something good that'll really help you now, then you do the deal because Siakam has sort of become what they thought Anunoby could do. But I'm not expecting, listen, truth, I wouldn't expect the Raptors to have any blockbuster deal or anything. Like the Raptors aren't going to reinvent their team. They're the second seed in the East. They have a good team. The whole concern was, like I stated, Lou Williams would be all right with the Raptors now because they all play better defense. He's just such a defensive sieve, fuck. Listen, ideally, the whole thing is you need to add some. Van Fleet's not good enough with Kyle Lowry. They need someone else with Kyle Lowry, but they don't have the salary cap room. And Kyle Lowry's contract is a bitch, but it's not that much longer. Like Kyle Lowry is sort of coming to the end here, even though he's still 32, but he's pretty beat up. I think there's 2 more years left. I think there's next year and the year after. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. There's next year and the year after for Lowry, and then he's done. That'll be it, like for the Raptors. But he won't be there by the end of this. Another thing is too, where I didn't really believe the rumor yesterday, is Nick Nurse, the Raptors head coach, is Jonas Valanciunas' #1 fan. Like last year, he used to think that he didn't play enough, like in the playoffs, and that was a point of contention. Like if you notice this year, JV was getting a lot of playing time. Like the coach really likes him, so I would find it strange that 2 days before he's going to come back after being out for fucking 2 months, 3 months, let's trade him suddenly. Oh, Lowry's a question mark, Drew. There's no doubt about it. He hasn't been a great playoff performer. they need somebody to take pressure off them. Like they're going to need somebody else like there as well that can score. JV will help, but I need a shooter. Look, we had Coach Nick on today, and he said it best about Lowry. Like his back is kind of he's not 100% healthy. He's a little off. And the thing, point blank with Kyle Lowry is, look, he's leading the fucking league in assists for fuck's sakes, right? With point guards, etc. So you can't state that, oh, he's blowing and shit. Like his numbers are pretty good, but he needs to be better. Like he needs to contribute more offensively. Like he's scoring like nearly 15 points a game now. He's averaging like 10 assists a game and like 4 rebounds or something. So his numbers are pretty good, but you know, the Raptors need like 18 a game from him. Like last night, he scored 17 and 10 and10 assists. That's what you need from this guy every night. But he only does that when he's pissed off. Like last night, he was all grumpy and he showed up, right? I'll tell you though, the Raptors might be really good, but the East, this is as good as the East has been, man. It's fucking relentless in the East suddenly. Milwaukee Bucks are on they're a juggernaut. The Bucks are the real deal. Like they're not frauds. The Philadelphia 76ers are basically a fucking all-star team. Like you know what I mean? The Boston Celtics are going to be dangerous in the playoffs. You know, they have too many good players not to be a problem to play against. It's not going to be easy, man. It's not going to be easy. Like for the Raptors, Otto Porter would have been nice for the Raptors, but I agree with Masai Ujiri. Like, we're not going to break up a team that's fucking good because everyone else is making deals. Like, let them make their fucking deals. Another thing is, too, guys, I've been around a long time, all right? And I'll tell you what, a lot of times these deals, they're all flashy and blah, 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 but they really don't have impacts. You know, it's hard to assimilate, you know, players into rosters. Guys can be really like Tobias Harris is interesting. He's really good, but there's only one basketball there. You know, Joel Embiid already cried when fucking and bitched when Jimmy Butler got there. So now suddenly, like, there's adjustments to be made, and oftentimes guys sort of get pushed out or phased out. Like a good example is like look at Gordon Hayward. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Gordon Hayward's going to Boston." Whatever. Fuck. They wish they never signed him now. Oh God, they got Kyrie Irving. Fuck. They want to trade Kyrie Irving if they could. You know what I mean? It's like they regret bringing him in here. You know, like, look, the Lakers get LeBron James. Fuck. Oh, my God, the Lakers got LeBron James. It's a shit show circus. You know? Like, the Raptors you got to be careful with that. You don't want to be trading a bunch of dudes to bring in Otto Porter, right? Like, I get it. That's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, Tobias Harris would have been good. Tobias Harris would have been perfect for the Raptors. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't say, oh, yeah, he's exactly what they would have been a perfect fit for the Raptors. But the Clippers were able to eat shit and like this big six-way, you know, 6 players, this and that. And the Raptors don't want to do that. The Raptors just need to pluck someone somehow, but they're in a tough spot because they can't give up everybody. And the Raptors don't have a bunch of shitty contracts to give up either. Right? Like, you know, Serge Ibaka's got a pretty big contract, but he's actually earning it this year. Like, you know, the Raptors can't lose Ibaka. You know, and then the players that people want from us, like, we can't trade. Like, Siakam, you're not trading Siakam. He doesn't make any money, and he's awesome. So you're not trading Siakam. Anunoby, people are trying to pluck from the Raptors. And thing is, Anunoby can be really good still. Like, he's fucking good. So, and they have to think, oh, if Kawhi Leonard's gone, Anunoby really has a bigger role on this team, right? Like, that's another thing, too. The Raptors are in a weird spot where they have to sort of consider, you know what, Kawhi Leonard might leave. Listen, Kawhi Leonard leaves, it is what it is. And the Raptors have a ton of money to spend. That's what I'm saying, Haynes. Like, Otto Porter's a nice player, but he's going to make $28 million next year. So if you're the Raptors, you can't do that shit. Like, you got to think, like, all right, if we lose Kawhi Leonard, that's what I'm saying with the NBA, that the NBA's whack with their salaries. I talked about that the other day on the morning show, and I've talked about it here all the time. Like, the players make too much. Like, there's not enough discrepancy in the players' money that they make. Like, look, Kawhi Leonard's going to make like $35 million next year. All right, so Kawhi Leonard makes like $35 million. Otto Porter's making 28. Like, in what world would you want to take Otto Porter on and give him $28 million, like pretty much near a max deal, when you could give a real star player a max deal? Right? Like, that's why I'm telling you guys, like, I don't know if any Raptor fans are getting itchy watching all these deals go down. Oh, you know, he would have been good here. Like, yeah, they traded Tobias Harris in LA because the Clippers are trying to unload all their contracts and everything, so they have a bunch of money next year, so they can offer the fucking world to Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard, and you know what I mean? Like, the Clippers are just trying to clear the space so they can load up in the future. The Raptors aren't in that position. So it took them out of the Tobias Harris deal. Otto Porter, same thing. Like, Otto Porter makes $28 million fucking dollars. Like, the Raptors can't eat that shit. And the Raptors don't have enough, like, fat contracts and bad contracts because they're smart. So, you know what I mean? Like, most deals in the NBA, you'll notice teams are eating bad contracts. That's what, like, it's a weird league like that. Like, the NBA, I've always said that, is the only league where a GM will call someone and say, listen, I got a really good player. How much fucking crap can you give me for it? Because basically they want all the crap. Like, oh, the contract's up, like the Knicks did it. You say what you will about the Knicks, but You know what I mean? The Knicks just cleared $76 million in cap space. Like the Knicks have $76 million open now next year. So you could say, all right, they had Porzingis and they didn't have any money and they had all these contracts and shit. They actually did a nice job with that. I'll give them credit. So I mean, we can rip the Knicks, but they did a nice job in that sense that now they've got $76 million to spend. So at least the Knicks can say, hey, Kevin Durant will give you fucking a max contract if you want it, right? And they can give a max contract to 2 players. And I'll tell you what, we'll bring Babano in a minute here, but I'll tell you what, you can't believe every one of these stories in the NBA. But there was a significant piece that there's a belief, the Knicks believe. The story was the Knicks believe that Kevin Durant is going to come to New York. That they think that with the money that they have and the feelers that they, he dropped the Knicks name before once, but who knows? So let's bring Babano in. What's up, Babano?
Yeah, tick-tock. NBA trade deadline tomorrow. Rumors, and rumors. More rumors than a husband cheating on his wife, basically, right now with these NBA deals coming down the pike.
Yeah, but all the rumors, none of them ever be true. Like the deals in the NBA you don't hear about. I almost don't, I fall for the rumors. I read them sometimes and shit. But for the most part, I just hit refresh, hoping to see a deal made. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you hear about this stuff and it never happens. No one talked about Tobias Harris getting dealt. Nobody talked about Kristaps Porzingis going to Dallas.
I'll tell you what, hockeybuzz.com, which is a website that's been around for a long time, and during the NHL trade deadline, they would post all kinds of rumors and, this team's talking to that team about this player. This GM has made this deal to another GM from another team with these players involved. This trade could happen. Eklund is, I think, the guy that ran that site.
Oh, yeah.
He's made like a shit ton of money based off rumors.
He made a career off it. It finally caught up to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, he just threw shit out there, right? It finally caught up to him. Hey, listen, some guys will just throw shit out there, but you gotta be right every now and then.
Exactly. You're going to lose credibility.
Shit that I would say on the radio and shit sometimes, even that I was just shooting the shit on the radio. It's the whole thing too. Like general managers in sports, Babano, they're not talking to people. You know what I mean? Like they're not talking to people at all. So like it's funny that when there's this report and that report, it's not happening. Like if it is, it's a smoke screen. It's a message to someone else. It's, they'll throw it out there for their own reason sometimes, but it's never like, why would what does Masai Ujiri have to gain by calling Sports Illustrated and telling them that he's trying to trade Kyle Lowry? Like, what does he gain by that? So
damn thing.
Like, I don't know where some of this stuff comes from actually. Right. I don't want to say it's all fake, but a lot of it is just sort of bullshit, and maybe an agent said it because he's trying to get this team to do something. Like I said, like the Memphis stuff, I don't know, man. There seems to be like Ricky Rubio. Like all the Utah press, the Utah media has been reporting for the last 48 hours that Mike Conley's close to going to Utah. And now suddenly you get this Kyle Lowry shit rumor that got tossed out there. It could make sense that basically Memphis threw that out there to fucking try to get more from Utah. You know what I mean? To say, hey, look, Raptors just offered JV and fucking Kyle Lowry, even though they didn't. You never really know what is going on with this crap.
Well, I never bought into the Memphis-Toronto crap yesterday. That was ridiculous. JV and Kyle Lowry. Seriously, Masai Ujiri is going to trade these two guys for Conley and Gasol. Gasol is basically an older, more injury-prone version of JV, as far as I'm concerned. And to me, JV, I keep JV in an instant. I don't.
Kyle Lowry's better than Mike Conley.
Yeah, exactly. Conley's good, but
kind of weird. Exactly. Doesn't make sense.
In what world, in what planet, in what existence do you think you're in as a so-called savvy basketball fan? Do you think that's a good trade for the Raptors? No. I'd like to hear. Yeah. No, I didn't buy into it. Bottom line is I never thought for a second that was going to happen. And sure enough, just a bunch of BS.
Yeah, that's why I think when Kyle Lowry said this is a business, I think he knew it was just kind of crap, and it's part of it. Hey, listen, if you're a big name player, your name's going to be tossed around in this stuff. It is. That's the way this shit works. You got to be flat, like people say. You know, the smart guys will say, "Hey, it's flattering that other teams want me." Right, when they're into that. But look, the Laker kids didn't handle that shit very well last night.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
Got their asses handed to them.
They lost by 42 points, and they basically quit on LeBron. They saw LeBron sitting alone. He wouldn't sit with them and shit. Like, it's pretty ugly there.
It's a shit show right now with the Lakers. You've got Luke Walton getting into it with Beasley, and and some of the players having a verbal spat with him. Almost got physical, apparently, according to people close by that follow the team over the weekend. So it's starting to disintegrate a little bit there in Lakerland.
Yeah, it is. It is. We'll see if LeBron James can put that fire out. It's pretty crazy too, because they just spent the last week openly, publicly fucking hanging their team, shopping them, dangling like on a clothesline. Hey, come by, or like a garage sale.
Yeah.
And what are they supposed to do tomorrow? Well, guys, we couldn't get the deal done, so I guess this is it. Yeah, let's come together now and try to do this. It's not going to work. You know, you can figure. Listen, in a perfect world, hey, they're all professionals and they should just shut up and they're getting paid and it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter what line of work you're in, right? Like if someone tells you, you know, we're going to fire you, and then they're like, well, in the last second, they're like, well, we didn't fire you because we couldn't. Your replacement didn't want to come here, so you're here for now. You know, what are you going to think? You're going to think, well, all right, fuck, I'll stay here, and I'll start looking for somewhere else to work, right?
Exactly.
Or you're going to say, fuck you. You know what I mean? So it's like athletes are the same way. We just think they're shut up and play, But anyways, all right, so we got 2 games going off here late night, but Ben, I don't know if you got an opinion on them. UNLV at Boise State. I see Boise State laying 5.5 points in this game. Both pretty mediocre teams this year. UNLV are 11-10. Boise State are 10-12. They're both 5-5 straight up in their last 10 games. Neither of these teams are really going anywhere. What do you make of this game?
Well, I have less trust in UNLV than I do Boise, and I don't have much trust in Boise laying 5.5 and 6 here. But I'll tell you what, there's no way, and there's no doubt in my mind, if I had to pick a side here, I'm laying the 5.5 with Boise, 6, whatever. It's 5.5 right now. UNLV's just, you know, their philosophy's terrible. I've watched this team enough now this season. All it is let's get the ball, 1, maybe 2 passes if we're lucky, chuck the first open 3 ball we've got, and then just not get back on defense and give up a wide open drive to the basket or a layup. That's UNLV basketball.
They're not very good at shooting the ball either.
No, they're not. They're not. The loss that they had against Nevada on their home court. I mean, their 3-point shooting was awful, and they kept shooting the threes in that game. They couldn't hit one, and they're still attempting them almost on every possession. I don't know what happened to Marvin Menzies, if he left his brain in Las Cruces, because he actually did a good job at New Mexico State for years there, but it hasn't translated to UNLV. I think part of that's just, you know, it's hard now for UNLV to recruit when they've had these years of struggles going back to when Dave Rice was the coach. UNLV's not had a good season really since Lon Kruger. That's a long time ago now.
I don't know, dude. It's a weird program. Like, even they have a few like pretty good recruits still, but you're right. It's a tough place to recruit to as a whole. Like, you figure it wouldn't be because it's Las Vegas, but it actually is. Like, their facilities are pretty shit. Like, it's not – their campus isn't that nice. You know what I mean? Like, UNLV isn't – it was flashy with Tark and shit. That was a long time ago. It's not now. Like, you go to the Thomas and Mack Center, it's like there's like fucking crackheads on the corner. It's like a bad neighborhood. It's not – it's a tough place to recruit. It's true, but – I just find, Urbano, like, look at all the coaches they've gone through. And they're all pretty good coaches. And, you know, they get there and then they're not somehow. Like, it's sort of like a restaurant location that doesn't work anymore. Like, I don't know. It seems like, you know, if Jerry Tarkanian came back from the dead, I don't know if he could coach this team now. Like, there's something about the program that it's screwed. Like, they're stuck in the mud, man. It's weird too because you remember with Dave Rice, he's a pretty good coach, that guy. Except, or I should say, he was a very good recruiter. They had good teams, but then they would underachieve. And then, it's either they have a really good coach. Like you said, Kruger was the best one they had in recent memory. At least they were getting to the tournament and shit then, right? But Bano, they haven't even won a Mountain West tournament, in like fucking forever. I don't know if they ever have even. Like it's crazy. Like that's why like the teams don't mind that the Mountain West tournament's in Vegas, because Vegas never win anyways.
No, they don't. I mean, UNLV has taken off all. I mean, they've taken a fall in recruiting. They've been a product of a Mountain West conference that top to bottom's not as good now as it was even just 3 or 4 years ago. The Mountain West was so much better then than it is now. San Diego State was a legitimately great team. Boise State had some great teams. Fresno had some great teams. Even Wyoming was up there for a little bit with some solid teams, and I think got into the tournament.
Well, it used to be good. Like in those days, the BYU was there too.
Yep.
So yeah, with
it's going way back. Yeah,
rivalry, BYU, UNLV, and San Diego State, New Mexico Lobos. It was a real battle. The Mountain West tournament was quality stuff. It was good. Like you said, the conference is way down
now. It's tough times in the Mountain West. I mean, this is clearly going to be a one-bid league. There's no question about that. I shouldn't say that. I guess if somehow Nevada stubs their toe and doesn't win the Mountain West Conference title, they're still going to get in as an at-large. I would think. They do have one really bad loss against New Mexico on the road. They shouldn't have lost that game, Nevada, but I don't think that's going to hold them out of the tournament. Not with the rest of the body of work they put together. So that's the one exception. If Nevada doesn't win the Mountain West Conference tournament, it'll be a 2-bid league. But if they do, it'll only be a 1-bid league.
All right. So, yeah, I don't have a strong opinion here. Even on the total, I'm looking at it, and I don't really see anything that's jumping.
Boise goes through offensive droughts like crazy. They can go 6-7 minutes without a bucket. This is not the Anthony Dermick Boise State teams of the past. It's not the Gabe Marks teams of the past that's been here at Boise State. They've had some good players, good squads in the past. This is not one of them. It's not one of Leon Rice's better teams.
Well, they're sort of, though, they alternate. Like it's not like there's big patterns, though. You know what I mean? Like they'll have 2 overs in a row, 2 unders in a row. Like in the last few games, over, under, over.
Yeah, exactly. They're an erratic team. They're up, they're down. Totals wise, they're up, they're down.
You're playing the over as of late.
Well, they're not playing a lick of defense.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 5-2 to the over in their last 7 games. Like, they're generally giving up into the 80s recently.
Oh, just awful. I mean, they got shredded by Utah State over the weekend. I mean, it was a shameful defense, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. So I'd lean Boise and over. Boise for sure. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I do not want UNLV. If I bet that game, it's Boise.
All right, nice words from Wake the Sheep. I'm glad that you're doing well. Didn't know you were 2 months in the hospital. Well, wow. Stroke, huh? Heart attack. Wow. Well, hang in there, Wake the Sheep. We'll try not to upset you. But thanks for the kind words, bro. Thanks for signing up to Patreon as well.
Yeah, Wake the Sheepy. My goodness. Stay healthy. I'm glad to see you're doing well, and glad to see the show has given you some comfort, some joy, some happiness during some tough times. My goodness. So I wish you well, my friend. That's Godspeed. Keep on pushing through. Keep on battling. That's what we're all doing here.
Well, yeah, we haven't had strokes and heart attacks, though.
No, I mean, battling in a different sense. Yeah, we're battling the financial ghosts.
Not yet.
Which, in comparison to what Wake's dealing with there, we'd rather deal with Lord Gamblers of the world than strokes and the physical gremlins.
I feel bad too because I started bashing Alberta earlier. I was like, yeah, but because somebody said something, but I keep forgetting. Buddies from BC. Cheap date, booze, and blood thinners. Eh? Yeah, stay off the cheap booze there, Wake the Sheep. After we want you to be around. All right, so the other game is, so no strong opinions in that. I don't know. I lean to the over, to be honest, but I'm not loving it, but I lean to the over. And what's the other late cap game here? We've got
Utah USC Pac-12.
Oh, yeah. So another point spread, similar spread, -6. I hate spreads like that. -6.
I'd lean USC. USC is Jekyll. Here's a team that's been pretty good at home the last few games, USC, and not so good on the road. And now they're back home.
Utah.
They're off Utah again. Utah's had some pretty good performances at home, and on the road, it's not.
No, but look at this, Babette. That's what I was going to say, though. It's bizarro world.
Yep.
Like Utah lost their last 2 home games to both Oregon teams, so they lost. I was on this game last week. Fucking, that was last Thursday. I remember that. Fucking son of a bitches.
Oh, they had a terrible game against Oregon State, against Wayne Tinkle's team. Oh,
yeah, so look, that's 2 games that they lost on their home court. Yet the 2 road games before that, they won.
Yep.
On the road. So they were 2-0 in their last 2 road games, but 0-2 at home. But overall, the Utes are not too bad. I mean, they had a 4-game win streak going before they lost those 2 games. And like you said, USC are sort of all over the place, but USC are playing better basketball over the last like 10 days or so. 4-1 straight up last 5 games.
No, that they are. USC is playing better. The one loss, I think, was to Washington, the class of this conference. Washington looks like the only real good team in this conference right now. I mean, Mike Hopkins is doing a phenomenal job up there in Seattle with that team. That Huskies team, the 2-3 zone, he brought that to him with him to Washington from Jim Boeheim because he was an assistant with Boeheim at Syracuse all those years, and they've played great. And that was the one loss for USC during this time. So, the big thing for USC is they got a healthy Benny Boatwright finally. He was injured earlier this season. He's the best player on this team as far as I'm concerned, and his presence on the court makes a difference both ends, offensively, defensively. And I think from a talent perspective, Gabe, I know Utah, this is not a great Utah team talent-wise. They've had better teams. They had, Pirtles in the years past. They've had DeLon Wright in years past. They had Kyle Kuzma last year. They've had some great players, Utah, that are now big-time forces in the NBA, big impact players in the NBA. That's not this Utah team. I think from a talent perspective, USC's got the edge. They're off, back home where they've played good. They absolutely blew out both Arizona schools the last time they played at the Galen Center. They blew out Arizona. They blew out Arizona State. So I'm personally leaning USC here.
All right. I did not know this, but Ben, I'm just looking right now. Holy fuck. The Raptors are playing the Knicks on Saturday night.
Raptors and Knicks. Not a TV game, I would know. That would
snuck up on
ABC. Yeah.
I didn't realize this. It snuck up on me. I'm bad with dates, so it's February the 9th. Yeah. Versus Toronto. Holy fuck. There you go, bro. You want to go to the Knick game? Fucking Saturday night, Toronto Raptors.
At MSG. Get her done, Gabe. Get on that. Get those tickets.
How do I not go?
You got to go. I know you're coming back here for the San Antone game later this month, but you got to go to that one. It's right there in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I've never been. Exactly. Fuck, I don't know how I didn't realize this. Fuck. I was confused, too, because I see the Brooklyn Nets are at Toronto on Monday. All right, so this one on StubHub here. All right, the cheapest tickets are $60. Decent tickets are like $120. Yeah, it's like $125 or something. Court size $900. I won't do that. I don't have that. Yeah, it looks like I might be sitting in the upper bowl here at MSG. Even the upper deck's like $110. Supposedly at MSG, though, no matter where you sit, you have a good view. That's what everyone tells me.
I've heard the same thing. I can't comment. I've never been, but that's what I've heard. I've heard multiple people say there's not a bad seat in the house. It's a great view of the floor, the ice, if it's a Ranger game, no matter where you're sitting. So.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Like Barclays Center's like that as well, but I've really heard that about MSG, just the shape, and they said the way the seats are, it's sort of like a bowl that you have a good view no matter where you are. But man, I've got to I had no idea this game really snuck up on me. It's already Thursday too. It's just perfect for me because it's always I got shows and shit, right? So boom, on a Saturday I can go,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you were planning on going to this first time the Raptors were in New York to play the Knicks all along. You just didn't realize, hey, it's a couple days away. You just lost track of when
I thought it was later in the year. Like I saw the Raptors when I came to see Brooklyn here. So this is only their second time here this year. So yeah, I'll check them out again. I'm going to go for sure.
Yeah, definitely you should. It's your team. It's New York City. It's Madison Square Garden. Gotta go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were there, Spencer, right? Lower Bowl, great view. Hey, yeah. Yeah. Saturday night, bro. Raptors and Knicks. And, yeah, like I said, the tickets are about $100. Like I said, the shittiest ticket is like $70, but it's literally like the last, like your back's against the wall, like on the upper deck type thing. I'd rather just spend $25 more or something, and at least not be like in the last row of MSG. But
that's usually my line of thinking. I don't want to have the worst seats in the house. I'll go a couple of flights or a couple of levels better up than that.
Yeah, exactly. I used to cheap out. I used to cheap out a bit, and it's not worth it. You're right. Like, there's been times like it's like, come on, fuck, really? I save $30 and I'm in this fucking second last row in the Bell Center and shit like that. I hate that stuff. Like, but now as I'm older, I don't need the best seat in the house, but medium. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah,
medium seat. Like,
I need decent. Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys says decent. He's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, medium.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want the Taj Mahal. You don't want the first class treatment. But you don't want the nosebleed treatment either.
All right, guys. So quick college basketball here. I guess I'll go over to 146.5 in the UNLV game, and you know what? I'm going to take Utah. I'll take Utah at 6.5. I'll buy a half point up to 7, and small play. I think they'll hang around. USC, I think, will probably win, but I think they can hang around. Have you started studying this new football league at all?
Oh, at the Alliance of American Football. You better believe I am. I'm into this thing. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be entertaining, but I just saw a Super Bowl that made my eyes bleed last Sunday. It can't be worse than that.
No, I can almost guarantee you that the Saturday night opener will be better than the Super Bowl.
And I hear people saying, the people that are what's the word I'm trying to say, that are sticking up for that Super Bowl, and saying it was a compelling watch, and it was because it was tight, it was dramatic, it was down to the wire, it was great defense. I don't want to hear that. It wasn't all great defense. I'm seeing Tom Brady skip passes at his receivers' feet most of that game. I'm seeing Jared Goff overthrow receivers, underthrow receivers, wide open in the end zone for what could have been a game-changing touchdown and play, I believe, in the third quarter or fourth quarter, and Goff completely misses him. Is that great defense? I don't think so. That's bad offense. There was a ton of bad offense in that game, and bad offense makes for bad football and bad games and dull, boring football. So, you can go on and wax poetic about the defense till the cows come home all you want. I think it was more bad offense and putrid offense at times from both of those teams, especially from the LA Rams perspective. So it's just that there was nothing going on for the longest time. It's not like there was one interception after another or one crazy play after another, during that dead zone time of during the game when there was nothing going on. It was just punt, 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt. Just drop balls, incomplete passes, run game, not a big run play, not a big pass play of any kind. I love the games that are a little bit lower scoring. I love that kind of football too, but that was too much of it. I'm sorry, that was just way too much of it at that point. I like some defense, but that was too much of it once it got to that point. 13-3 football game. The only good thing about that final score was that a friend of mine won Super Bowl squares because he had the number 3. And number 3, and then in both teams' final score, so he ended up winning some money out of it. But that was a terrible football game. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Oh, it was great defense, compelling, down to the wire, dramatic. No, it's mostly bad football for most of the game.
It was good. Lou was selling that to me today. That for purists, it was great and old school, and you know what I mean. To me, I don't know. Like, that shit works in the mud and outdoors and stuff. In domes, it's lame. I don't know, there's something about it. Like, when you're playing a game in a dome, it's got to be points. You know what I mean? Like, watching teams in a dome, like, just sort of sputter around. And like you said, it was good defense, but it was a lot of bad offense too. Like, people can talk Tom Brady's the greatest and all this, but he only scored 10 points too. And Sonny Michel barely fucking got in the end zone too. You know, it's not like he lit it up, man. He completed a bunch of passes to Edelman. That's the thing I said the other night with the Patriots. Like, they're the greatest team of all time. You can't dispute it. I'm not going to dispute it, but they're like barely the greatest team. Like, it's weird. Like, they're always on the ropes. They can always be beaten, but they win more than they lose. I'll give them credit for it. But it's not like they're like some dominant team. Like I remember like the San Francisco 49ers, dude. Like, they kicked the shit out of people. Fuck, like that team. Like even the Dallas Cowboys like smashed the Buffalo Bills. You know, Dallas Cowboys, like, winning the Super Bowl, they smashed the Bills. They beat the Steelers by 7. It wasn't that close. Like, they were killed. They rolled over teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, the Patriots Super Bowls are like, on the last play at the end zone. This game was 3-3 with 8 minutes left. Like, they're not a dominant team, but they're a dominant franchise, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. They just won the big games against great teams, and they made those great teams that they were up against look, average or good. And they looked superior most games they played against those. They raised their level of their play when the lights were on the brightest and the competition was at its fiercest. That's what I remember about the San Francisco in its heyday.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when you played San Francisco, it's like they were 17-point favorites. You know what I mean? Like, or they were 22-point favorites against the Chargers. Like San Francisco were always big favorites. Like Brett B is saying, like, they smashed the Denver Broncos 55-10. They smashed the San Diego Chargers. Like, first play of the game, touchdown to Jerry Rice. And like, it wasn't a competition. It was like 57-17 or something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like the Patriots, every Super Bowl has been by 3 points. This was our biggest margin of victory, but it's kind of deceptive. Really was. It didn't feel like a 10-point game. You won by 10. Can't deny it. They did. They won by 10 points, but
there was a lot of consternation in that early to mid 90s period when San Francisco finally, parted ways with Joe Montana, turned to Steve Young instead. Is this the right call? Is this the right move? Well, it worked out pretty good for them in the end.
Yeah, there was pressure on all of them, exactly. And then it did work out. But yeah, this new football league's interesting.
For George Seifert, right? I think he was the coach of that
Seifert.
team at the time. Yep.
Yeah, George Seifert won, and Steve Mariucci.
Yep.
Steve Mariucci. Bill Walsh, obviously, too. Great dynasty. It was great. They were a great organization at the time.
There's a chance with Shanahan and, well, if Jimmy G gets healthy again, there's a chance for them one day to get close to that. I don't know about right at that level, but get closer to that level.
So where is it? Football.
Still got a ways to go. Yeah, this AAF, I'm interested to see it. The one thing I got to give this league credit is the rules are going to be different. They're doing a lot of things different than the way the NFL does it. And with how many people have become frustrated, aggravated, agitated with the NFL in recent years, that's not a bad thing that you're trying to be a little bit different.
Well, it's not that much different, to be honest.
Not much, but there's
not, like I said, there's no real gimmicks to it. There's no kickoffs. That's essentially it.
Yeah, no kickoffs, no extra points. You're going to have to attempt a 2-point conversion after every touchdown. So every drive will start at the 25-yard line. After every touchdown, you got to go for 2. Play clock will be 30 seconds, not 40. So it's going to be in between. No, I heard 30.
I believe it's 35.
35? Either way, it's going to be in between NFL and CFL. NFL's 40, CFL's 20. So it's going to fall somewhere in between there. Yeah. What I like is the game telecast, and there's a bunch of TV partners that have already lined up with this league. NFL Network, TNT, CBS Sports Network, CBS. Yeah. But they got some partners. I mean, at least you're going to be able to see this.
No, I've said the same thing. They've gotten their TV distribution was much better than I had imagined. Like, they're serious people. Like, Ebersol knows what he's doing. Like, I'll give him credit. You're right about that.
You asked the Arena Football League, would we kill someone to get TNT, CBS, NFL Network?
That's their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing that their gimmick is the onside kick, which will rarely happen. But since they have no kickers, right? Like, there's no there's field goal kickers, but there's no kickoffs. So when you go for an onside kick, And I could be wrong about it, but I think it's 35 seconds. But if it's 30, I apologize, I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's 35.
Whatever. We're not going to argue
Yeah,
over
yeah,
for 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what's funny though? I got into Nick Lewis, who's a smart guy. Like, what's the CFL play clock? Isn't it 30 in the CFL?
20.
All right, it's 20 in the CFL.
Yep.
All right, so
that's why I love the CFL. You got to think pretty quickly. What play are you going to run? You got to, get it done quickly. Get up to the line.
But basically, he was saying though they start the whistle or whatever. I'm too complicated. I won't be able to explain it properly. But Nick Lewis actually said you don't get more plays off in the end. Like he said, you think you do, but you don't. And he explained how, and it made a lot of sense actually. Like when you shave it down.
You know what it is, Gabe? It's 20 seconds plus the time to spot the ball.
That's what I'm saying.
A little bit and then start the clock.
The ref exactly gets in the way all the time with CFL. Like he spots the ball and then he goes like that, and you got 20 seconds. You know what I mean?
20 seconds from that time. So in real time, it's probably about 30, 32 seconds.
Exactly. Because you can't humanly get these fat guys to the line in 20 seconds. You know?
Yeah.
So but he explained to me like how it's not better actually to lower the play clock for some reason. But anyways, hey, there's Jazz. What's up, Jazz?
Jazz in the chat. I hope Jazz is doing well. The thing I was going to say about the telecasts is there will be no television timeouts during the game. None.
Yeah, no, that's good too.
That's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're going to have more sponsorship like soccer style on the screen, which I always thought they should do in North America.
The Alliance of American Football, the AAF, they want their real-time length of games to be average of 2.5 hours. None of this 3 hours, 3.5 hours like we get with the NFL with tons of commercials. You know what you get in the NFL? It bothers me. Touchdown, commercial. Kickoff of the next drive, commercial. You don't need that other commercial after the kickoff. You just had one, goddammit. Get the game going.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I read yesterday an interview with the guy Ebersol, and he was saying about how there's actually 72 commercials in an NFL game.
Wow. Absolutely. No wonder people's entertainment, they get fed up with it.
Yeah, so think about that's 72 commercials. That's nearly 40 minutes of commercial time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's only 18 minutes of game action in an NFL game.
Yeah.
Right. So exactly. They're trying to streamline it. But yeah, so the onside kick, instead of the onside kick, you get the ball at your 25-yard line, and it's 4th and 10. So if you get it, you get to keep the ball, and the drive keeps going. If you don't, the other team gets the ball,
right at that spot. That's the interesting little quirk. There's apps. You know what? People that bitch and moan about. I hate punters being involved in deciding these games and deciding my wager. Field goal kickers in these games deciding my wager. I win or lose because a kicker misses a field goal or makes a field goal. Don't have to worry about that with this league. There's no kicking, no kickers whatsoever. It's an interesting dynamic. Those people will be happy.
I believe there's field goals.
Field goals,
just not kickoffs.
Oh, okay. Okay, there is field goals.
Yeah, there's field goals. There's no kickoffs.
Okay, no kickoffs. All right. So all right, you still could get. There is still kickoffs. Yeah, because I see on these rosters. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's field goal kicker, but so there's no kickoff, and there's no extra points.
I see the former Chargers kicker, Young Ho.
Actually, so it's a pretty good gig to be the kicker. Actually, you don't have to do anything besides kick field goals. That's it. You know what I mean? No extra points, just field goals. No kickoffs, no extra points. You're just there to kick field goals.
Yeah, there is. I see Young Ho Koo is actually on the Atlanta roster. So there you go. That should be interesting. Absolutely interesting with how he does. We know he didn't do well with the Chargers.
You're telling me that the fucking kicker that only kicks field goals is going to make $250,000 like everyone else?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, $250,000 is what the salaries are for most of these guys in this league, from what I've read.
For all of them.
All of them, yeah. Each player, yes. I see that.
But not for a year, for 3 years.
Yeah, 3-year non-guaranteed contract. Yeah, $250K.
Yeah, so it works out to about $82,000 or whatever the hell it is, a year. It's
And
not
they get
bad.
health insurance. They get free health insurance too, and they're thrown into that. That's
Oh,
a
they
good
do, huh?
added incentive. Yeah, which obviously doesn't happen in pro sports. So there you go.
Yeah, no, and they seem to be. I don't know. We'll see if they're sincere about it. It's easy to say now, but they're saying that if as the league grows, the money will grow, and you know what I mean. They're gonna give bonuses and shit. So, like you said, though, it's a pretty legitimate league. Like everyone, a lot of times, like we sort of scoff at these new leagues.
Yep.
But this one, everyone looks at it and goes, "Hey, you know what? It's actually, it's actually pretty serious. It looks all right." Like, the quality. Let's not get carried away with the quality of play. It'll be good football, but it's not going to be great football. Like you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
You're paying players $80,000. Yeah, like it won't be as good as CFL. You know what I mean? It'll. I think you know what it'll look like. It'll look like preseason NFL football.
Exactly, because there's no don't forget the training camp is very, very short for these players, and there's no preseason games.
These guys don't know each other. Dude, their camp was like 8 days and shit. I was reading about one of the teams. They said, the week-long camp wrapped up.
Yeah, week-long camp. Week-long. Yeah, in the NFL, how long is training camp? A month. How long in the CFL even is training camp? 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2-3 weeks anyway in the CFL. 8 days with the American Alliance of Football. So, yeah, to expect sharp, crisp, clean football in week 1 starting Saturday night. Yeah, don't hold your breath.
No, exactly. Like it'll be like the arena. I sort of think it'll be like the Arena League, Labano, where there's going to be 1 or 2 teams that'll just kick the shit out of everybody. You know what I mean? Yep. Like there'll be a team or 2 that's going to be really good, and there'll be a few that's like really bad. It's hard, dude. It's freaking hard to start a football team from scratch and just, oh yeah, we're going to be good, right? Like there's going to be issues. You don't know until they play. They didn't play any exhibition games. I know they did scrimmages and shit, but they haven't played any exhibition games. I don't know. I don't know why, but the odds makers are all over this Arizona team.
They're the favorite, and not just
favorite to win the title.
Because there's this mid-range pack of teams that are all close together. Salt Lake plus 400, Orlando plus 450, San Antonio plus 550, Atlanta plus 550. Those are the mid-tier teams. Then you got San Diego, Memphis, and Birmingham below that. It's all based on the perceived, odds makers perceived player grading, overall roster, talent on the roster. Arizona does have some talent on it. But as with every one of these teams, Gabe, it's not just all about the talent. It's not just about the quarterbacks. That they have Trevor Knight, who played, of course, at Oklahoma and Texas A&M, or that they have
John. Luis guy's pretty good too. I remember him.
Yeah, they have John Walford as well. From
yeah. So what team is Luis Perez on? He's on another team. He's not bad, that guy too, actually.
John
Walford. Supposedly John Walford won the job over Trevor Knight, but they've got Trevor Knight is a pretty good quarterback as well.
I was hoping that would be the case because Arizona is a team where I think if there's going to be one team that's going to play some overs early in the season, I'm hoping there's totals. I mean, I see lines at 5 dimes for the week 1 games, but I only see sides. I don't see totals yet for the games, just the side numbers. But if there's totals, Arizona's got the look of an over team to me just based on the offensive personnel. They got Knight, who can be like a wildcat quarterback. He's more of the run first quarterback option you could have. You got Walford's the better pocket passer. I think he's a better thrower of the football, Walford, than Trevor Knight. That's why he's going to be the starter for Rick Neuheisel's team there. Rick Neuheisel, of course, the head coach of that Arizona team. So we'll see how that ends up going for him. We know from an X's and O's perspective, you guys remember him from UCLA. From an X's and O's perspective, wasn't exactly great for Rick.
That's a good point. But he's to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in Spurrier's team. I actually think I'm going to blindly bet against Spurrier's team. Actually, he's a college coach. It didn't work in the NFL with the Redskins. It was all gimmicky and shit. We'll see. He's going to run this spread offense. He's going to have a million trick plays. It'll be all fun and shit. But I don't have a ton of confidence in him. Like I said, I was reading up on the Arizona team. Birmingham seems to be pretty solid, actually. Trent Richardson's their running back. But I was reading about Birmingham have a good offensive line, and they're pretty solid on defense. They got some good defenders. they're sort of, it's regional, right? So they've got they got a few Bama guys and Auburn guys and shit on the team. San Diego seems to have problems because they lost their quarterback. I'm not a big Benovisi kid. I remember him out of Arizona State. I'm not a big fan of his. So I don't know how they're going to be. But what's the first game? I'm going to be betting on a pick machine. What do you think? We're going to talk about this much and not bet on it?
I will be betting on it. I've studied up. I've looked at these teams. I've read the rosters.
I've read small week one. We'll figure it out as it goes, though, right? Like,
no, I had plans all along that if there's lines available and the fact that there's futures odds and I'm seeing week one sides, spreads, not the totals yet, but the spreads for week one are available at 5 times. The fact I'm seeing it means.
What are the spreads? So what's the numbers?
Let me just bring them up here right now. It's only the sides I saw at 5 times. No one else has posted yet. I've looked at every other book. They don't have the week one yet, but 5 times does. Just the spread.
Pretty much everyone will have it though. Like I saw Bookmaker has it up. They just don't have the number up yet, but they have the teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Birmingham, by the way, if you're looking for value, they're the team that's picked last in the futures to win the title. I mean, they're 10-1 right now. Tied with Memphis for biggest long shot. To win the first season of the AAF. So you might be, if you think they're better than the odds makers seem to think, you might have some value there. Luis Perez, Keith Price, Blake Sims are their 3 quarterbacks. Some of these receivers for them are okay. Quentin Patton, LaDamian Washington, Quan Bray. There's some decent receivers here on this Birmingham team. So defense, I'm trying to see Lawrence Okoye, Devin Taylor. There's some names I recognize here on this team from a defensive perspective. So coach of this team is, let me see here. Tim.
We got San Diego at San Antonio on Saturday night and Atlanta at Orlando. I think Orlando is the CBS. I don't know. It says they're both on CBS. I don't really understand that, but
what they're doing is they're splitting it up viewership-wise. Some CBS
regionally,
exactly like an NFL Sunday.
They're really trying to come out big time like this.
Exactly. So Atlanta, Orlando will be for certain CBS affiliates.
Yeah, East Coast, we'll get Atlanta, Orlando. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's Steve Spurrier. Garrett Gilbert's the core. What's the point spread for San Diego, San Antonio?
San Antonio, and I was hoping.
I'm going to say San Antonio -7.
No, a little cheaper, 5.5 over
right.
San Diego. And I lean San Antonio. San Antonio looks really good, really, really good actually on all 3 phases right now. San Diego, San Antonio. Let me just double check here. All right. I got all the rosters here right in front of me. There we go. 10 million things. Okay. No, they have some good quarterbacks from what when I was looking at that roster. Marquise Williams, North Carolina, Logan Woodside, Toledo, and Logan Woodside looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback for this San Antonio team. So Logan Woodside, Toledo is the favorite right now to be the starting quarterback, and Dustin Vaughn's the 3rd quarterback. You've got Trey Williams, Aaron Green, Kenneth Farrow, David Cobb running back.
Was fucking in the mix to be the starter there too. Yeah, so. Yeah, not bad. So they're laid 5.5. Yeah, San Diego could struggle with Mike Martz's complicated playbook. And, I don't know how good this quarterback is. Remember, they drafted – San Diego had the first pick of the draft, and they drafted Josh Johnson.
Yep.
And they lost him because he went to the Redskins.
Exactly, yeah.
They lost him because he went to the Redskins, and he's in the NFL again now. All right, so what's the Atlanta-Orlando spread?
Yeah, by the way, Mike Bercovici and Philip Nelson, who played at Minnesota in college, are looking like the quarterbacks for San Diego. So to me, there's a big edge as far as I'm concerned for San Antonio in that game against San Diego. I mean, you got Bercovici
in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome there. It won't be an easy place. And they don't have a pro team in San Antonio, so they'll be jacked up for this. There'll be fans there and shit.
I am surprised San Antonio's using the Alamo Dome for their home games. Obviously, because if they don't get the type of turnout, and support and ticket purchases that they hope for,
nowhere else to play.
Yeah, I mean, where else are you going to put it?
That's the stadium.
Yeah, that's the place because UTSA plays there. Just Roadrunners.
Yeah. Like, there's no college. Like that's it. That's the stadium.
Yeah,
but it's not that big, that stadium, bro. It's sort of like a Carrier Dome thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks big.
You can play basketball. Like they played basketball there before, essentially.
Much smaller capacity, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like this massive, massive dome. It's big, but so what's the Atlanta-Orlando spread?
Atlanta-Orlando, we've got Orlando laying 4.5 against Atlanta. Orlando laying 4.5. So there you go. You want to take your shot against Spurrier in week 1, you can bet on Atlanta as an underdog and maybe a little sprinkle.
I know that Garrett Gilbert's the quarterback of Orlando.
Aaron Murray's the quarterback of Atlanta, former Georgia Bulldog. You know, he's
the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think Atlanta makes some sense there. I like Murray.
I'm looking at Atlanta here too, but man, I'll lay the points with San Antonio and take Atlanta.
That's amazing because you're thinking what I was thinking right away when I looked at it. San Antonio laying the points in the one game, Atlanta in the other game.
And Memphis, Mike Singletary, I think, is the Memphis, right? He's the coach of Memphis.
He is, yep.
Yeah, I'm not looking shit up. I went through this over the last couple of days myself too, so most of it I know. There's a few teams I forget who the quarterbacks are.
Here's a guy that, you know, he sort of got raked over the coals in San Francisco when he coached there with the 49ers for X's and O's and all that, but he's a master motivator. You know, and he'll get on people's ass if they don't play well. That's Mike Singletary. Intensity, always, you know, just as intense and fiery as you can imagine.
Birmingham. What's the point spread there?
That's a Sunday game, that one. There's 2 Sunday games. Yeah, 2 Saturday games, 2 Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern is Memphis at Birmingham. Pick 'em.
I see 4 p.m. Eastern.
That's the last game, Salt Lake and Arizona.
I see that. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Is this Pacific? No, it's got to be Eastern.
I'm looking at the official website. I'm on the TV schedule of the Alliance website.
Well, I better go there because Five Dimes has the times all wrong.
It says San Diego, Atlanta, Saturday at 8 o'clock. Memphis, Birmingham, Sunday at 4. And then Salt Lake at Arizona, Sunday night at 8 o'clock, which would make sense in Arizona, 8 Eastern, right?
Yeah, and that's an NFL Network game, I believe, that Arizona game. Yeah. So they're laying 5, which I would expect. Salt Lake's not horrible.
So
Dennis Erickson's their head coach. Yeah, Arizona's laying 5 against Salt Lake Stallions.
Salt Lake are one of the top teams supposedly too.
Yeah, they're already a tax to bet on Arizona. I mean, if the cat's out of the bag with Arizona, they're the top favorite to win the title.
What's
already laying 5 in week 1. It's Pick'em.
Pick'em, eh? Wow.
Yep.
I'll take a chance with Birmingham on their home field.
Oh, they're the home team. Singletary, of course. Who's their quarterback? Oh, you've got some Mettenberger from LSU, Zach Mettenberger, Brandon Silvers.
And Hackenberg.
And Hackenberg, of course, who's finally found a professional football home after the NFL just
well, we'll see.
He may not last a couple of weeks if
he hasn't found the home yet.
yeah. You still got to show it. Still got to show you can handle a little bit.
I don't know though. Who won the job there? That's like who.
They've got Hackenberg listed at the top, so I think he gets first shot. You know, they've got it. They've got these quarterbacks listed, you know, but in terms of 1, 2, 3 depth wise. So it makes me think he's the favorite to be the starter.
Yeah, but there's
Mettenberger's. Last I heard about their quarterback situation was Hackenberg and Mettenberger. Boy, that's a lot of Bergs. Well, want some mustard?
Here, first half of camp. I know. I know. Well, you can't make
Mettenberger, Hackenberg.
Mettenberger and Hackenberg. Said Mettenberger had a strong grasp of the starting job under center for the first part of camp, but toward the end of the camp, Hackenberg gained momentum after a scrimmage against Salt Lake as the top quarterback. Went 9 of 15, 128 yards. Hackenberg threw a 19-yard strike to Fabio Nguera. He was 6 for 8 on the drive. Ever since then, Hackenberg has taken the majority of the first team reps and looks to be the starting quarterback Sunday at Birmingham. Yeah.
There you go.
And let's see. So backfield. Backfield will have Zach Stacy.
Oh, Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Yeah. Vanderbilt product returns to Tennessee after spending 3 years in the NFL and part of the year with Saskatchewan Roughriders. All right. Behind running back. That's just the Memphis team. All right. So who else they have? Rajon Neal. Tennessee, Terrence McGee, LSU. See, it's all regional. Like, not all regional, but there's a lot of region. You know, they're trying to get like fans of Alabama and SEC fans to go to the games too, right?
Yeah, exactly. They bring in a lot of the, players that played in colleges that are close in the vicinity.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Well, they got to try to draw fans some way. You're not going to be able to survive if you're not getting some kind of gate, some kind of ticket revenue going. And that's a good way to try to, as Kramer says, tickle that buying bone. Try to get some of these.
So look, like one good thing too, man, like you said, if we're going to be betting on this shit, like I'm on their website right now, and it's very good. Like it's updated and.
Oh, it is. It's a very well created.
Yeah, they actually have though, like the Arena League would be impossible to find anything out, bro. Like it was impossible. Fuck, like
they didn't update shit. They barely updated the standings every week.
Barely updated the scores like an hour after the game.
Yeah, jeez.
Here, like pretty much every team has done a good job. They know people are betting on this, so like pretty much like now it's Wednesday. They didn't even have this up yesterday. Like it's like starting lineups for this weekend's games. Like they're smart. They know people need to know this shit. 3 days left before their season opener. The Atlanta Legends announced for Wednesday their starting lineup for Saturday's game. Quarterback Matt Sims will start.
Very interesting. Matt Sims, yeah.
Well, Matt Sims. Sims will have a wealth of backs. So remember I said Michael Vick is the offensive coordinator. Behind Sims will be a wealth of backs and receivers. Running back Terry and Folston leads the backfield. They also plan to mix in Denard Robinson, Lawrence Pittman, and Akram Wadley.
That's going to be interesting to see that Michael Vick as the OC dynamic. That could be a disaster or it could be epically good. So it'll be interesting to see what side it falls on. Yeah, I give him a chance to be good.
He's pretty good too. Secondary valuable experience. Dorian Grant, Desmond Lawrence, pair of shutdown corners. Tyson Graham, and Reynolds. I like the way we're talking too. Like they said, we put together a championship caliber team. Like, see, they're fired up. Like,
well, settle down now. There's 8 damn teams in the league.
Yeah, we'll see. Well,
everybody has a pretty good chance.
So I'm liking Atlanta plus the points here, but
yeah, I do. I mean, you made a good point about Spurrier, is that it didn't work out for him coaching in the pro ranks. I know it was NFL. This is the AAF, but it didn't work out for him. It didn't go well at all. Just like, if Nick Saban suddenly decided, you know what, I don't want to coach Alabama anymore. I'm going to coach in the American Alliance of Football. I'd be reluctant to bet on Nick Saban's team right out of that gate. It didn't work for Nick Saban in the NFL either. With the Miami Dolphins, that was a complete train wreck, from start to finish. So, some guys are just, you should have stuck to the college game and just had your college legacy unblemished and left it there. But no, Steve Spurrier's got that coaching itch still. He's probably sitting at home, I don't know, playing Scrabble. I don't know what the hell he's doing there right now, but he's got that itch to coach football again. And if it's the American Alliance of Football that's going to give him that chance to do it, he's going to take it. So we'll see how it goes for him. But I'm skeptical.
Well, there's a lot of the college sort of / NFL guys here. Mike Riley, of course. Mike Riley is the coach of San Antonio.
Of course, he had 2 stints in college, Oregon State, which for the most part went pretty well. Nebraska didn't go well.
He's a pretty good coach, though.
Yeah, he is. And of course, he played in the CFL a long, long time ago.
All right. They're saying San Antonio is not going to announce their starting quarterback until the end of Thursday's practice.
So there you go. Read up on it. I heard Woodside's the favorite, but they have not confirmed it yet.
I'm seeing here Dustin Vaughn.
Really, huh? That's not crazy. Dustin Vaughn's, capable quarterback,
Remember Dustin Vaughn was on the Cowboys, right?
He was a decent preseason quarterback for a few years there. I remember
he was on the Cowboys for a few years. The general manager of the team is Daryl Moose Johnson.
Yep.
Basically, they're saying that Dustin Vaughn, the West Texas alum, has shown leadership in camp and control in the pocket that has impressed the coaching staff and Commanders general manager Daryl Johnson. Everyone is excited to get out there and play a regular season game. It's been a long while for us. Like, he's talking like he's the quarterback, and they said they're going to announce it officially on Thursday.
Holy shit! Jim Grobe is their defensive coordinator, San Antonio.
Wake Forest coach.
Yeah, Wake Forest coach. He had to mop up at Baylor. after Art Briles got thrown out of there unceremoniously, and because he coached the first season without Art Briles, and then they hired Matt Rule. So Jim Grobe's been around the block a little bit.
It's going to be fun.
There's some decent coaches. Like you got Singletary, you got Spurrier, you got guys people know. Mike Martz, greatest show on turf with the Rams, like 20 years ago. Won a Super Bowl with the in 2000, but also lost the first of many Super Bowls that Tom Brady and Hoodie would eventually win.
Yeah. The no team in the area around us, so it's all pretty much in the south and shit, area, the Florida area, west. No East Coast teams.
No East Coast teams. No, not even a ton of Midwest teams.
That's why it'll work. They're smart.
They're going to like these people eat, sleep, and breathe and fart.
Exactly. And like Birmingham, you know what I mean? They love football there. San Antonio's on a team.
Yeah.
Memphis. I was kidding last night about this. Like, if there's a football league, bro, Memphis are in it. You know what I mean? Like, Memphis had a team in the CFL. They had a team in the fucking World League. I think they had a team in the USFL. They had a team in the Arena League. Like Memphis, like if there's a secondary football league, Memphis are in. Their mayor is like, we want in. You know what I mean?
You notice the Atlanta team not playing at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They're playing at Georgia State University's little rinky-dink stadium. That's where they're going to play. And the venues, they're playing at Georgia State Stadium. Birmingham Iron are playing at Legion Field, which is what you'd expect. I mean, there's college venue there. Liberty Bowl is where Memphis is playing.
Where's San Diego playing?
San Diego's playing in the old, where the Chargers play, and where the Aztecs, Jack Murphy, exactly. SDCCU Stadium, yep. San Diego County Credit Union, yeah. But the place the Aztecs play now and where the Chargers played all those years, yeah.
Where's Salt Lake?
Salt Lake is in Spectrum Stadium, which is the Utah Utes home field.
Oh, Utah Utes home field. Yeah. Orlando is what, Disneyland?
Orlando is Spectrum Stadium, which I believe is where that Camping World Bowl was this year. Same spot, yeah, where the Camping World Bowl. UCF.
Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, UCF plays there actually. Spectrum Stadium. UCF's home. Yep.
Because they have a smaller sort of stadium on the property, like it's like an ESPN stadium type thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. Like you said, like every game's going to be on TV. So as bettors, we're going to see it all, and it's going to help us get us through Babano. Especially NBA All-Star week next week slows down, and hockey is a little bit of a grind every night until the playoffs. And March Madness around conference tournaments are around the corner. This will sort of carry us into the conference tournaments in March Madness.
It is. It's good. I mean, and next year, think about it. Next year at this time, February, March, and April, I believe it's the exact same. It'll be year 2, obviously, season 2 of AAF. It's also going to be the inaugural season of XFL, when Vince McMahon brings that back. So he is, from what I've read, is targeting ESPN and Fox. Everyone says, it's going to be on WWE Network. Not a chance. You think Vince McMahon is resurrecting the XFL just to put it on WWE Network? He doesn't want that. He wants to get on a major sports network, and he knows he should get on a major sports network to make this league.
He'll cut a deal, exactly. He's got – you're right. It's a good point. Like Fox isn't in on this at all here, this league.
Yep. ESPN
has a deal with Fox. Like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if Fox hopped on board with Vince. And it's a good fit. You'd figure Fox in the XFL. And with that, Ben, you see today, Bob Stoops actually. There was a rumor last week about this, but now it's pretty much it's been said. So Bob Stoops
is going to be the head coach and GM of Dallas. Yep,
the Dallas team.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to add some notoriety to the league. Hey, Bob Stoops is now here in the XFL. Let's check it out. It's pretty obvious why you'd want to make that kind of hire. It's all about garnering interest. Getting people involved in the product. Yeah.
And Bob Stoops, a competitive guy, so he'll give you an honest effort. And if you're Bob Stoops, it's not as much pressure. You know what I mean?
No.
If Bob Stoops goes back to college and coaches a fucking big-time program, it's ultra pressure again, right?
Like win every game, get to the playoff. Yeah, exactly. I think he was kind of sick and worn out and beaten down mentally having to deal with that every year at Oklahoma down the stretch. He looked like he just, I've had enough of this shit every year and all this pressure and, oh, the Sooners got to get into the playoff and finally win some games in the playoffs. I think he just tapped out, and I think he'll enjoy this. He gets to relax a little bit, clear mind, have a little fun, maybe again coaching. Because I don't think it was fun for him those last few years at Oklahoma. He looked like a guy that was dealing with a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and it looked like it at times.
Yeah, he had some health problems. Was catching up. It's
exactly.
Coaching like that every day, right? Yeah. Plus, they were getting pissed. He kept losing big bowl games and shit, and even though he was a great coach and he won for them, they were unappreciative. That's the way life is. All right, Babano. So
yeah, that's what I heard with XFL, ESPN and ABC. If they sign with ESPN, they'd be on ESPN and ABC. They'd do a split of games with those two, and if it's on Fox, they'd split between Fox and FS1. Although I think FS1 would have most of the games, but that's what they'd be looking at. So that's why ESPN and Fox, they're staying way out of any television deals with AAF, because they knew all along that they're probably going to be looking into a deal with Vince.
Yeah, and plus, really, if you look over banner, so they have the NFL connection through Bill Polian and stuff, right? And the NFL Network, etc. And a lot of NFL guys are involved with the league, like NFL executive types that are in close with the NFL are part of this alliance shit.
Yep.
And so you have the NFL Network, but everything else is all tied together. So they're on TNT, CBS, and Bleacher Report. It's all the same fucking company. It's all
under the Turner umbrella, and Turner's like amalgamated with CBS Sports.
It's all sort of like March Madness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do the tournament together.
CBS, True TV, fucking TV. Like they just spread it around on their shit. They own everything. Fuck, right? So it's like, oh look, they got all these networks. It's really under the CBS Viacom brand, right?
Yeah.
But and like with Bleacher Report and shit, and it's smart though. They have very good distribution, but
it's a good deal. CBS will only have a couple. TNT will only have a couple. Most of the games will be CBS Sports Network and NFL Network. Most of the games.
Did you go to the Soup Fest?
Oh yeah, the Soup Fest yesterday. Of course I did. Wouldn't have missed it.
How come you weren't tweeting? How come you didn't do pictures or Periscope?
I tried to keep it on the down low. I mean, this year, let's have a little peace and quiet. We don't need everybody every.
That's what I told people. I said, I bet you Babano went to the Soup Fest, but he's not going to admit it publicly.
Yeah, undercover this year. Get a little peace and quiet while I was there. But no, it was a great event. Again, lots of great soups. I went to every stand. I actually had one of those little small bowls of soup from every single stand that was there. There was about 22 soup stands. So, but believe me, when you go around to 22 different soup stands and try one bowl of soup from each of them, you're full when it's all said and done. Trust me. Soup doesn't fill you up. Not these soups. Look at some of these great soups we had here. We had Hawaiian grinds, which had small pieces of roast beef in it too, with a little pineapple. It was brilliant, with a little creamy soup sauce. Fantastic. Yogurt soup. I've never heard of this before. It was absolutely terrific. It was like vanilla yogurt mixed with a little chocolate pieces in yogurt, in a soup style, with a little fruit on top as well. It was fantastic. Smoked beef barley, nacho soup. There was a nacho soup that was fantastic there with a little hot chili sauce on it. Oh man, delicious. Field mushroom soup was good. Oh, the crab and sweet corn chowder, like corn on the cob. Just little pieces of corn, crab with crab meat, fantastic in it. Vegetable mulligatawny was great. Cream of buffalo chicken, that was my favorite. Cream of buffalo chicken, creamy soup. Buffalo chicken, hot sauce. You saw the chef basically mixing the buffalo chicken and hot sauce. He would dump the piece of chicken with the hot sauce on it in the bowl of soup, stir it up, put it in there with the cream sauce. Oh, it's phenomenal. Outstanding. That was my favorite. Cream of buffalo chicken. East Meets West Bistro did that one. It's a place in West Hamilton. They did a good one. That was and I got to vote at the end. That was my favorite soup. Tastiest soup.
Oh yeah, so you vote. So who was the winner out of all the soups?
Shit, I didn't even check because I know it was yesterday. I'm sure they picked the winner. I'll have to check the site. I haven't even checked.
Who's a patron?
Yeah, Jordan Kovacs, exactly. He was serving soup there. He was a chef serving soup there.
This is me at Soup Fest 2011. I was a chef. He got the whole gown on, and exactly, he was pouring the soup in for people.
This isn't rinky-dink chicken noodle, standard cream of
No,
mushroom.
it's like all the local restaurants and pubs and everyone they send their best soup.
They take it damn seriously. They want to win this thing. Everybody, they always got that. We want to win it. Yeah, we want to put forth our best effort we can, best soup we can on the table for these people. So, yeah.
I was thinking, though, Babano, wouldn't it be better if they had? Wouldn't it be better if they had the fucking soup festival on the weekend instead of on a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand why it's always a Tuesday or Wednesday. It's been like that every year. It's been in the middle of the week. People are working, and it's always packed at noon hour because people are getting off at their lunch hour at work, and they're swarming the place. That's why I went like at 4 o'clock. I knew it would be dead there, or at least a little less packed. And I got in, made my rounds. I didn't have to wait in line. Every single soup stand was the line was, there's still
little pieces of like French bread there and stuff with the soups or crackers. What do they do?
Yeah, they have a bread station there. It's just this big, huge table with like 8, 10, 12 different kinds of bread. And you can take them there, cut it up, put some butter on it, margarine on it, some jam, whatever you want to put on the bread, at the bread station there. They have some bands, music there. Marcy Playground, lead singer, was performing there. Actually, couldn't believe it. I smell sex and candy. Remember that? Their big song. Yeah, he was performing there. Lead singer of Marcy Playground.
A bar too, right?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there's not an open bar. You got to pay up for it. Pay for what you drink, obviously, but you can get booze there. You can get wine there. Cocktails, whatever you want. Yeah.
Hey, if you wine with the soup, it's not bad.
Not bad, yeah.
The only thing is missing is cheese. Like they need the bread station. Was there any cut like piece of cheese there to go with the soup too?
It's funny. There was a Gay Lee soup stand there, and they had little cheese samples next to their soup, which was also pretty good. And they were, the little piece of goat cheese, and they give you the goat cheese on a stick, and you just, take it with the soup, and that was as close as we got to having cheese there at the Soup Fest. See, everybody can see how excited I am. The big smile on my face.
Yeah, that got me. I'm like, damn, like it's got to be a Soup Fest in New York here. It would probably be over the top.
I was going to say, if Hamilton can impress me with the Soup Fest they put on every year, what can New York City do?
I don't know. It sounds like the Hamilton
chefs
is like the leader in Soup Fest, to be honest.
They're doing something right, Gabe, because it's been going on now for 17 years, I believe, is how long this Soup Fest has been going for. It just started as an idea, and it was very, very small at the beginning, and I think 2002 when it started, and it's grown a ton since then. That's why they have it at the convention center now, because they need a big venue for it.
Church too, right? You said.
Yep.
The Living Rock. Yeah,
exactly. We're doing it for the youth of the city, to help them out, give them better lives, put them in programs that are beneficial to them, that'll help them get jobs. Yeah, exactly. And you get some good soup while you're there. You're supporting a good cause, and you get great soup.
All right, Babano, great stuff.
So there you go. There's your Soup Fest review, courtesy of Babano.
Thank you for joining us. And we'll speak to you on Friday. Friday looks like we'll be phone, Babano. You won't have to do Skype on Friday.
All right, phone interview Friday at 5 p.m. with you and Camster. Should be good, and we'll probably talk a little more AAF on Friday. Next week on the show, we'll actually be able to talk about some of the games that went down.
Yeah, we'll know week 2, so
we'll have a game under the belt. Yeah, and we'll have a game under the belt for all these teams, so we'll see who was good and who wasn't.
Hold on, you can talk for a second. I just got to step there for a second. But yeah, I see Babano right now. Drew puts in New York Soup Fest. It comes up Buffalo. I'm not surprised it's Buffalo. But that's the thing with Buffalo too, though. People like, Buffalo this, that. Like, they're very happy people at Buffalo. Like, if you watch the Buffalo news and shit, you see every weekend they have these festivals. You know what I mean? They're all
places to eat. Beer places to eat in the town.
Fucking ice cream. Like every week in Buffalo, they have nothing to do. So they all there's a wine festival, right? And everyone in town goes and gets shit faced. Like, it's crazy. Like, every event in Buffalo does well because there's nothing going on there, right?
Well, that's right. It's a thing to do, right? It's a place to go. That's what people are looking for. When you're not in a New York City, or you're not in a Chicago, or you're not in LA, or you're not in Las Vegas, where there's shows left and right. There's big attractions left and right. There's, sightseeing venues, places to go to, monuments, historical places, all that shit. You don't necessarily have that in your Buffaloes of the world. So yeah, it makes sense that people get excited for going there. What should we talk about here? We talked about NBA already. That's the trade deadline. We'll see what happens there. I think personally from a Raptors perspective, I think what they're going to end up doing is something small. What I would do is I don't think there's going to be any kind of blockbuster trade going on for the Raptors. It's going to be someone to maybe get someone that can hit a 3-point shot for you. Because, we were hoping CJ Miles would be that. Not really going to happen. They still need a little help from the perimeter in terms of offense. So, Masai Ujiri's got an opportunity to make a trade. I think for someone like that, you can. We'll see how that goes. Oh, to recap some of the games here tonight. Let's see. In college basketball, Villanova beat Creighton in overtime, 66-59. LSU beat I had this game on actually while I was on the show here. LSU comes back and beats Mississippi State 92-88 in overtime. Game scores way over the total. Colorado beats UCLA 84-73. TCU beats Oklahoma State 70-68. Alabama thumps Georgia. Poor Tom Crean. His team's not playing any defense right now, but then again, his team's in Indiana didn't play much defense either. So he's just bringing his no defense coaching style with him from Indiana to Georgia. But yeah, it's going to take him time to get that program back on track. Villanova now with that win, by the way, against Creighton, they're 10-0 now in the Big East. There was a time, I think, early in the season with Villanova, it looked like they would be, not quite the same team as last year, maybe a little bit worse. After losing so many key players from the last few years, like they've had to say goodbye to Arcidiacono and so many big-time players for them. In the past, last year, they lose DiVincenzo. This year, though, they get other guys. Phil Booth stepped up and played good. Eric Paschall stepped up. Gillespie's played well. So it just keeps on, and they've still got Jay Wright there. So that team just seems to just keep on doing their thing, and they're doing their thing right now, 10-0 in the Big East. No step back, at least so far, for Villanova. They've been excellent in Big East play. What else do we have? We have Wichita State won big, 65-49. Texas beat Baylor. Baylor was red hot coming into tonight. Not tonight, probably because I bet on them. That's the way it goes. If there's a team that's playing great and I decide let's bet on them here, that's probably when the win streak's coming to an end. And that's what happened there. Texas beats them 84-72. So not great there for Baylor tonight. Nevada's up on Colorado State. That game flew over the total. That's good. I had that game over the total. Boise's leading UNLV 43-39. Let's give Gabe Morency some credit here. Gabe, just a little bit of credit, at least right now. I don't want to jinx it. It's early, but Utah pummeling USC, not just leading USC, pummeling USC 37-17 right now. Late in the first
17 Utah.
Up by 20 at the Galen Center. And that's a really big clunker of a performance right now so far for USC. Andy Enfield at some point, if his team doesn't make the tournament this year and they had a bad start in non-conference, started to play a little bit better lately,
makes a lot of money too.
Got a lot of work to do. His seat's going to start getting hotter there at USC. At some point, results going to have to start happening for him. I know they got the tournament one year with him there. I think they got to even the second or third game, if I'm not mistaken. But you need a little bit more from this USC program and from him as the coach.
What's the score in the other one, Mountain West UNLV game? Let me look. I got it here.
It's close. It was 43-39 just a second ago.
I'm on the over. Nice pace here.
Yep.
Of course, I got small plays on it, but whatever. better than losing, right?
Always better than losing. Always better than losing. I had one of those nights where the top play I sent out loses, and everything else I didn't send out pretty much won tonight. So that's a really maddening night when you're doing this as a capper. But hey, it happens.
Yeah, you gotta shake it off. Just move on. All right, Babano. I gotta wrap things up in a minute here.
All right, good stuff. Always on a Wednesday night, Gabe. Take care, everybody on the chat.
And,
no problem.
Yeah, well, I'll speak to you on Friday on the radio.
All right, Gabe. Let's talk to you then. Have a good night.
Babano. Thank you, Babano. Babano, the soup master. Man, he was rattling off the soups. He was fired up. I got some soup here, but I don't feel like eating just microwave fucking Campbell's tomato soup after hearing all those fancy soups. Annual pizza. That's why you're having heart attacks, we sheeple. Pizza pig outs and cheap booze. All right. So I got to get out of here. I'm telling you, our late night picks on the show are pretty good this week. So Utah's looking good. And the over was 145 in this UNLV Boise game, and they put up 82 points in the first. I don't want to jinx it. There's been games where we've scored 1 million points in the first and it stayed under, right? You never know in college. Whatever. I was wrong on Sacramento again with Houston again, like I always am. Golden State are up by 14 at the half, right around the number on San Antonio. In-game total for UNLV and Boise is 161.5. Utah are up by 14 at the half right now. But we got to fucking shut it down and get ready for the morning. Yeah, the pizza and the cheap booze. Thanks, Cody. That's some funny stuff tonight. Thank you, Fanatical Jim. Thank you, Bruce Chad. No bad takes from Bruce Chad tonight because he didn't talk about the Raptors. Ian Cameron, Cody AV. All right, Mohammed, good for you. You're winning some money tonight in the NBA with Gallagher. Good stuff. Canadians are rolling, actually. I shit on Mark Bergevin all the time, but got to give him credit. This team doesn't suck that they have this year. They have a bunch of Montreal Canadiens have a bunch of dudes that nobody else wanted, really, and they've come together. That was the thing this year. Like in the off season, I was like, you know what? He's actually not a bad player. This guy's a pretty good player. They were getting these good guys, but I was like, you're kind of just throwing all these random guys together. Like it was very weird. Like, I guess they figured, listen, nothing else worked. I'm about to get fired. So, but Canadians play with heart, like me and Cam were talking about them today. They compete. Claude Julien is a good coach. I'm a big Canadians bandwagon fucking jumper. Like real Hab fans should tell me to go fuck myself. If I was a real diehard Habs fan, I'd be like, fuck off, Morency, I only come around when the Habs are good. I'm one of those guys now. When the Habs are good, I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, Canadians kicking ass. Huh? Good. Hey, how about the Habs? Like, I don't have an NHL team really, right? But deep down inside, I'm a Canadian fan, but I don't live and die with them on a nightly basis, though. I don't live and die with them on a nightly basis. But whenever push comes, when the Canadians are in the playoffs, I've never cheered for the other team. You know what I mean? I'll put it that way. I remember once I was watching a playoff game with Richard Garner. It was the Canadians and the Bruins, and we were in Toronto. And I fucking lost it. Fuck. I was like, motherfucker. I was freaking out. And he told me, he goes, for a guy that says he's not a Canadians fan, you're getting pretty upset about this. I told him, I fucking hate the Bruins. And then later on, the Canadians were playing someone else in the playoffs. It was the next series when I went on that little run. And it was the same thing. I was really into it and shit. The Canadians are one of these teams, though, that I was a hardcore fan of the Canadians, but their ineptness pissed me off. I'm a type of fan that, the only team I really take their uselessness is the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills are hapless. The Canadians should be good. That's why it bothers me. Like, you know, listen, I covered the Canadians, right? And I've seen them up close and shit. I sort of realized that, fuck, they don't care about winning. They're all about making money. Like, that's the Montreal Canadiens are all about making money. So it's hard for me to be a fan of a team like that. Like, the Bills are like underdogs. Like, we're like little upstart underdogs, you know? The Canadians are supposed to be like the Yankees. And the Canadians are like, fucking expansion teams are better than the Canadians. You know, like, Canadians are supposed to be like, you look at the Leafs. The Leafs are at least obsessed with like winning and shit. The Canadians aren't really obsessed with winning. They're obsessed with charging you a lot of money and not fucking paying their players. But with that, we wrap it up. We have a sports rage style show in the morning as we got Cam Stewart and Joey Odessa. We got golf and MMA tomorrow. A little golf talk with Cam, some UFC with Joey. Should be some fun stuff. Plus, something will happen in the NBA. I appreciate the support, guys, and the patronage. I got to get out of here. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.